Hi there and welcome to my video. Today we're going to review a hand played between Russell and I in this 9 max 10p 20p game played on Monday. So the hand starts with myself first to act, and we have King of Spades, Queen of Spades. Now first position, this is a fairly standard open. We have a strong hand and we want to raise for value. So Joshua folds and Alan opts to call from under the gun +2. Now this is the first notable act in this hand, and my comment for this would be I would not recommend just calling behind in earlier position, and the reason for this is twofold. Firstly, if we look at the hand range selector here on the right, when Alan chooses to just call, he eliminates certain hands from his range. So hands such as aces, ace king, queens, jacks, tens, these hands would typically re-raise for the flop hit to try and build a bigger pot. When Alan is calling in this position, he is essentially saying, I have a weaker hand, I don't want to build the pot, and therefore he's more inclined to have hands like medium pocket pairs, king queen suited, king jack, king 10, queen 10, jack 10, king 9 off, some smaller ace 5, ace 6 suited kind of hands that he wants to play but doesn't want to raise. The reason why this is such a disadvantage in early position is because the players behind you are now more likely to put a squeeze play in. And if they do, because your hand is clearly marginal, it makes it unplayable, so you're going to have to fold when someone 3-bets behind you. This happens again when Milan calls, Jake folds, and then J-Tam calls behind. So an aggressive player behind now sees £2.70 in the pot, and this becomes an attractive offer to try and steal with even more of a marginal hand. And that being said, Russell duly obliges, so he makes it £5.30. Now this looks like a large raise, and when you 3-bet, typically you'd be looking to 3-bet 3 or 4 times the previous bet, but given the amount of players in the pot, if Russell raises to £2.40, he's likely to get multiple callers, and the idea of a 3-bet is to get it down to a heads up pot. So he'll either take the dead money here and take a substantial profit without seeing flop, or he will go heads up or 3-way onto the flop in position on the button, which is the best position to act because you get to go last on every round. So what I want to do today is to start you thinking along the lines of, what does this person's story represent? So when Russell is 3-betting here, he is going to say that he has all of the good hands. So aces, kings, queens, jacks, tens, ace king suited, ace king off, ace queen suited, ace jack suited, maybe ace queen off. He'll also have a few bluffs here to equalise out his range a little bit, so he doesn't only have good hands here. So he may have ace 5, ace 4 suited, ace 3 suited, ace 2 suited, to level off some of his range. Now these hands are good enough to 3-bet because they block an ace, so it's less likely somebody can have aces, ace king suited, ace queen suited, because we have one of the aces, which make these quite good bluff hands. This being said, Russell now has an incentive to 3-bet, and because he's an aggressive player anyway, he's probably 3-betting a wider range of hands than just this pure 3-bet range. He would be 3-betting king queen suited, king jack suited, king 10 suited, ace king, ace 10 suited, queen jack suited, queen 10, jack 10, maybe even lighter than this in some instances, like 10 9 suited, 10 8 suited, 9 8 suited, jack 9 suited, simply because he knows that Alan, Milan and J-Tam are just nearly always folding. The only resistance he may get will be from Emil, who has yet to speak, Cedric, who is yet to speak, and for myself, because I was the initial raiser. So I may have a really strong hand. So let's see how the rest of this pre-flop action plays out. Emil folds, Cedric folds, and it's back on myself. Now, this is a spot that is kind of strange in the sense of the blinds are 10p, 20p, but people have 50 or 60 pounds in front of them, so we're playing a very deep game. Normally, in this spot, Russell would have made it £5 and we'd be playing £20 stacks, and I'd be looking at a decision to go all in or fold, because putting £5 in with 15 behind almost pot commits you to the hand. In this instance, I could advocate all three options, really. Sounds like a bit of a get out of jail answer. I think calling is fine. I don't like calling in the sense of we're going to play the pot out position, but given the range of hands that Russell can have here, we're going to be in good shape against a lot of this. We're going to be at least a flip, we're beating some, and we're only crushed by very few. So I think a call is fine as a defend. Again, given the composition, I quite like a raise, and given the fact that Russell can still fold. So Russell is going to fold his Queen 10 suited, he has to fold if we make it 15, 17 pounds. He's going to fold his Ace 4. Look, sometimes he's going to have Aces of Kings, and we're going to get in really bad shape. But he's going to have a lot of hands to it, he's going to fold. So I don't mind a 4-bet. And for those players who are a little bit risk averse, I don't mind a fold, but I would say fold's probably the worst of the three options. I think this is at least a defend, if not a raise. In the moment I chose to call. In hindsight, probably 4-bet, I believe, in this particular spot. So we call. And now I expect to see it go fold, 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 because all these guys have got marginal hands, which they probably can't continue with. And indeed that happens. So this takes us to a flop, a 2-9-7 rainbow. And another really important concept in poker is playing in flow. So Russell was the last aggressor, so you should nearly always check. You should check your entire range, whether I've got aces here, pocket nines, king queen suited, ace king suited. And the reason you do this is to balance yourself off. Russell was the last aggressor and is likely to aggress again on the flop. If he slows down and checks, it's more likely that he has air and doesn't want to continue to bet. So in a 3-bet pot here, I'm always checking, regardless whether I have the nuts or nothing, and I duly oblige. Russell then bets £4.50. Now, this is a weird spot in the sense he bets £4.50 into a pot of £17. This is a very small bet. If I make a call here, it's going to be £21 in the pot. It's important to note Russell still has £32 behind, so he's not committed to his hand here. Now I look at my king queen, it's not a great hand. However, given the range of hands that Russell is playing, lots of this miss for him. I believe a king is going to be good a lot of the time. A queen is going to be good a lot of the time if we hit those. And if there's a jack or a 10, we're going to turn a straight draw to add equity to our hands. This is probably at the very, very bottom of our calling range. And we can probably only get away with calling king queen here because the size is so small. So to do some rough maths, to call, we would need to put 4.5 in to win 21. So we would need 20% equity here, which we're nearly always going to have with any hand, unless he's got aces, kings, and we're just crushed. There's no way for us to win. So this is going to make this a call a lot of the time. If I had a hand much worse than this, I'd probably fold. simply because the hand would be too difficult to win. But as played, I think this is the only street where it's really close. We should either fold or call. I think both are okay, but I prefer the call. If we fold, we've given up on the pot. And we call. Now, first thing to note, I should have said on the last street. On the flop, Russell should continuation bet basically everything. He should basically continuation bet all of his hands. As a 3-bet aggressor on this board, he's the one that's more likely to have aces, kings and queens because he 3-bet. I didn't choose to 4-bet. So it's unlikely I'm going to have aces, kings or queens. Because he has that nut advantage, he should continue to bet. So he's going to bet everything. Whether he's got ace-2 suited or aces, he should always bet. So the flop doesn't actually help us deduce his hand. However, this turn will. So we turn the king of hearts and we flop. We turn top pair, not 2 pair. 2 pair would be very good. We flop top pair. So again, we're going to play in flow. Russell was the last better. We're going to check to him. He checks. I check. Now, in the scheme of things, when Russell's got to tell this story, there's going to be some hands on the turn that he is not going to want to bet. And he's not going to want to bet them for 2 reasons. Firstly, because I could have hit the king. Whether that's likely or not, I could hit the king. And secondly, because he's going to want to control the size of the pot because there's an overcard on the board and want to get to a showdown, or at least evaluate on the river. So hands like queens, jacks, 10s, 10-9, jack-9, they're not going to bet here because there's no reason to. If he bets the turn and I call, I'm pretty much saying I've hit this king. So let's see what Russell does. Now, Russell bets a much larger sizing on turn. He bets £10.50 into 21, so bets half the pot. What we do need to note this time is how much he's got left. He has 22 left and there's 32 in the pot. If we raise, he's never folding now. He's committed his hand. So we need to take that into consideration. Given what I've just said about checking some of these hands behind, we know he is not likely to have queens here. He's not likely to have jacks. He's not likely to have 10s. He probably doesn't have 10-9 suited or jack-9 suited. He has a pair and there's no reason to turn this pair into a bluff. This leaves us with what he's got in front of us here. And now we need to just make a decision with our top pair. What do we do? Do we call or do we raise? We're certainly never folding now. Our hand's far too strong. So let's work out where we are. How many hands actually beat us? So there's aces. There's 6 combinations of aces. There's ace-king suited. Well, we have the king of spades. And the king of hearts is on the board. So there can only be 2 combinations of that. There's ace-king off. Well, there's only 2 sets of kings left, so there's only going to be 6 combinations here, so that's 14 combinations. Pocket kings, that beats us. Well, there's only 1 set of combination of kings left now, so that's 15 combinations of hands actually beat us. There's going to be other hands that Russell bets for value, thinking that he's betting to build a pot, and they're going to be king queen suited, which there's 2 combinations left. King Jack suited, which again there'll be 2 combinations of, and King 10 suited, which there's 2 combinations of. We actually beat or tie these hands, so there's 6 combinations he's going to bet, and if we raise he's going to struggle to fold, and we actually beat those hands. So that's something to consider. But what's really important here is to not get so hung up on this. We know there's 15 combinations here that just slam dunk beat us. But let's work out the bluffs. Is Russell betting ace queen off here? Probably not. Probably slows down and checks because he's committing himself. There's no reason for him to put his whole stack in with ace high. so he's probably not bluffing that. Ace Queen suited, could he be bluffing that? Yeah, probably, because if he's got the Ace Queen of hearts, he's got a flush draw and an ace, so that's quite feasible. Same with Ace Jack, Ace 10, Ace 5, Ace 4, Ace 3, Ace 2, all of hearts. There's 7 bluffs straight off the bat. He could also quite conceivably be betting Queen 10 suited, and this is a great bluff in the sense that it's hidden. So if the river is a Jack, or if the river is an 8, that's Jack 10 suited. We'll try again. If the river is a Queen, or the river is an 8, Russell is going to make a straight. Now, there's 4 combinations of Jack 10 suited. The same can be said for 10-8 suited. There is 4 combinations of 10-8 suited, which again is an open-ended straight draw. There is also Queen Jack suited, which is a gut shot. If he turns a 10, he will make a straight, but he could also have this in a hearts variety. So there's arguably either 1 or 4 combinations of Queen Jack suited. The same with Queen 10. If he turns a Jack, he's going to make a straight. So he may do this with Queen 10 of hearts or all Queen 10s. So we said there was 15 strong hands, which we can't beat. We've also said there's 6 combinations of good hands, which we can beat if we raise. We're also saying that there will be 7 combinations of heart draws, where if he bluffs, he's going to have to call. There's 8 combinations of straight draws. There's possibly combinations of gut shots. There's a lot of bluffs here. There's actually a lot of natural bluffs, which he's going to bluff and have to call off. And then there's the hands that we just make fold, which probably shouldn't have bluffed to start with, which will be Ace Queen of clubs, Ace Jack of clubs. If he's ever got these hands, or printing money, this is the decision making that's going through my head. There's so few value hands here compared to everything else, and this is quite a complex example because it's a very deep 3-bet pot. This is a raise. This is a raise for value. Look, sometimes he has aces and kings and we just get screwed. It's going to happen. That's poker. Sometimes you get collared. But the vast majority of time here, he's going to have a complete bluff, which he just folds. He's going to have a heart draw or a straight draw, which we're going to be a good favourite against. Or he's going to have a king that's a worse king that we're going to have him absolutely stuffed. So I make the decision based on this that we're going to raise and we're going to go all in. Russell elects to call, so he doesn't have an air ball, which is a shame because clearly we would like to take down the pot with no showdown. The river is the 6 of clubs. Unfortunately on this occasion, Russell does actually have the 10-8, one of the bluffs, one of the semi-bluffs that got there on the river. He elected to 3-bet light on pre-flop because he saw all the dead money and is an aggressive player. On the flop, he flopped open-ended straight draw, which he continues to barrel. On the turn, he picked up a heart flush draw, the 10-8 of hearts. So he then continues to barrel. When raised, he clearly has to call with a straight and a flush draw. He's got 33% equity in this pot, so he's going to have to call the last 20 quid off. And he got there. That's poker. Sometimes that's going to happen. But the things to take away from this hand is playing in position is clearly good. We want to 3-bet more, and particularly late position we want to 3-bet more so that we're playing in position. And we really want to start to think about the player's hand and what they can have. This is a particularly complex hand given that it's so deep, and probably not the basis to start learning about ranges, but start thinking about the idea. And when you're playing in a pot, what does this person actually say they have? So when you find yourself on that decision on the river, it's a more easy decision for you to make. Well, I've been Bowlestown, and I hope this has been a helpful insight into my thought process, and I'll see you on the next video.